Ah, the bills for repairing our cars. What does trial charge? Material is £9.4, yes. What's this? £17.5 for labour? Why, that's highway robbery.
Oh, isn't that just like a customer? You've got to have labour, haven't you?
Let's see what Smiles charge for repairs to the other car. Materials £8.15, labour £10.4 and 6. There's a difference. I wonder why Smiles charge less for labour for identical work.
Well, I use labour, of course, but my men use the right tools.
Now, I wonder why there is that difference.
Tools.
Huh. Tools save workmen time and you money. How do you set about removing an engine at your place?
Ah, now that's where I score. Maybe a tough job, but I have a mechanic specially chosen for his brawn. No need for special tools and equipment. The boy's only too glad to put a rope around his neck. And that way he gets a good grip. Then, with everything ready, just yanks the engine right out. Well, he might strike some little snag. These jobs can be bewitched at times, even for a craftsman like my fella. But he can always shout for help. George, a cheery call and a mate nips over. Nips over. Well, comes across to him. Of course, it's taken a man off another job, but it's only a matter of a few moments. When two men can work so smoothly together, it cuts out the need for expensive equipment. When you see the job being tackled their way, 4 strong hands on the job, not counting the boys, you'd agree that hoists and all that fancy tackle only clutter up the workshop, make the place look untidy. And as for special engine stands, they're the same. What's a bench for, or an old box?
Well, all I know is that in a properly laid out workshop, an engine stand is a first requirement. It's neat and tidy. When an engine has to be lifted out of the frame, a proper hoist makes the job easy and quick. If you could only see the comparison with your methods.
Contraptions, my dear fella. You should see my big chap whip off a crankshaft gear. Good, hefty blows on the drift with a hammer. And if that hammer isn't big enough, use a bigger one. And we don't trouble to keep our tools racked or anything like that, just so long as they're handy.
Bit crude, isn't it? Supposing he misses.
Well, what's a bruise to a fellow like that? Anyway, I don't know why crankshaft gears should be so awkward. Manufacturers ought to redesign them. Good job I've got a brawny fella. If some of our customers had to do the jobs themselves, they wouldn't begrudge paying for time.
Why, when there's a gear extractor for the job which saves time and damage? Have you ever watched a gear extractor properly used? No hammering needed, just a little pressure correctly applied. Another thing, with a proper tool laid on, you can tell how long it'll take to do the job. With makeshift methods, the time spent on that one operation can vary enormously. I repeat, correct equipment helps to give good work at competitive charges.
Look, old boy, you can't beat the judgment of the human eye. Take a job like setting the valve clearance. My man takes a quick look at the feeler gauge. He can tell at a glance how much needs to come off. He walks over to the grindstone. We always keep a grindstone somewhere around anyway. Just a touch on the stone. Perhaps another. That should be all right. Push it in. What's the result?
Too much, probably.
Huh?
And then you have to mess about grinding in with valve grinding paste. Whereas, by using a valve mic, you avoid trial and error. You know, I can't help thinking that what you call judgment is just a posh name for guessing. With a valve mic, intelligently used, there's no hit and miss. It tells you right away how much clearance that grinding in has taken up, and how much is needed off the stem. And there's a proper tool for stem grinding. The stem's ground just sufficiently, and no more.
Oh, give me the good old-fashioned tools, plus the good old efficient relations between master and boy. Working with a man like mine, it's not long before the boy follows in his footsteps. What he likes is preparing things for the next operation. I think it's splendid to see a craft being handed on in this way. Meanwhile, the man carries on with his skill and strength, and that master of all tools, the hammer. If the boy gets into difficulties, the man will tell him what to do. And if the boy can't do it, the man lets nothing stand in the way of getting the job done efficiently and according to his plan. He applies his wider knowledge of the old established customs.
Doesn't he sometimes get confused by his own science?
That type of man's never confused. He knows just what he wants and goes steadily for it, carrying out tests, letting the boy try his hand at testing, letting him earn his knowledge in the hard school of experience, yet always ready to get him out of hot water if needs be.
Aye, but why the hot water?
Then there's the reassembly of the various parts. The boy shows an intelligent interest. Everything goes like clockwork, the same delicate touch to get the parts snugly into place. Then come the adjustments. We keep a lot of spanners about the place. With a little intelligent anticipation, the boy's bound to find the right one for the fitter in the long run. There's one advantage with general-purpose tools like large shifting spanners. You haven't got to worry about exact sizes. Just get one as big as possible and use plenty of leverage. A man like mine carries out adjustments in his own way. You can't expect him to be bothered with maker's service instructions.
Well, all I can say is that my lads aren't above using a tool like a bearing extractor that's recommended by Fords. After all, if there is such a tool, why not take advantage of it? Also, they apply heat properly in order to expand bearing housings. No fishing about in boiling water. The time is halved. No burnt and bruised fingers, and no risk of damaging parts. Merely by using the right tools in the right way. You can keep your shifting spanners. No point in training youngsters how to take corners off lock nuts or the skin off the fingers. Let them see how new parts can be easily fitted and adjusted. All our tools are kept racked. Some jobs need special tools for correct adjustment, so we have them, always clean and ready to hand. Special spanners are needed for certain nuts. Adjustment is quick and no damage is done. And a proper torque gauge is the only way of being sure just how tight a bearing is.
I suppose you'd use a gauge to diagnose a simple little engine trouble. My chap wouldn't. A few moments' deep thought, the decision is plugs. He then proceeds to check his guess. Verify his findings. He feels the running of the engine, as it were. No, it's not plugs. So he uses his head. A little more thought, and he starts the process of elimination. This takes a little time, of course, but then it's sure. He applies all the little tricks he learned years ago in the good old days. Nothing like 'em. All your gadgets wouldn't give you the results he'll get. A thinker like that formulates his theory often in a single word. Compression. Probably gummed up piston rings or something simple. Easy enough to find out. Oil. Oil round the rings. Nice drop of clean oil never did anyone any harm. Don't be afraid of it. Make sure the scientific way that everything is done to find out exactly what is wrong with the engine. He then tests the compression. That's where patience is needed. Patience and methodical procedure. And when he's tried out everything under the sun and can't think of anything else, out comes the verdict he'll give the customer. Rebore.
But a gang gauge set will give you an accurate diagnosis in a quarter of the time. You can check oil pressure, get a line on bearings, pumps, filter and oil channels, and check compression for worn rings, gasket leaks, valve seating, cylinder wear, and carburetors. With a gauge set, your diagnosis isn't what the mechanic thinks it might be, it's what he knows it is. He can find out exactly what state the engine is in, where to adjust, and what to remedy. Look, how long would your chaps take to check and adjust the distributor on a V8 engine?
Well,
One piece of equipment in our shop does that before the distributor's fitted to the engine. Adjustments are checked electrically. The light indicates the correct setting of the contact breaker. The ideal, of course, is a stroboscope, which we can't all possess, but this smaller fixture does fill the bill. Now, how would they set about checking the ignition in your shop?
huh? Oh, well, poke about with investigate with a feeler gauge and a mirror. Of course, we wouldn't take it off the engine. No need to. My men can get under bonnets.
Well, I'm asking you, how would they tackle it?
Well, the usual way. Out with a plug. Put in the starting handle. Get the boy standing by, fully informed in what he has to do. And tell him to check top dead center. Merely a matter of turning and feeling. Okay? Once more. Okay. Once more. Mechanics who are mollycoddled and have all sorts of fancy gadgets should watch my chaps at work. They'd be surprised.
I'll bet they would.
At this stage, he doesn't know what's happened, but the man will tell him.
Well, well. How'd you go about cleaning parts?
Well-
Now, I've got a simple degreasing plant. The parts are taken into this and thoroughly cleaned before the mechanic is ready for them. Now, take removing a torque tube sleeve. Simple job, but it's having the right tool that makes it simple. And the part isn't damaged when it comes out to be degreased. I suppose you've got a degreaser?
The boy's a degreaser. I think I pay him for all this. I mean, it gives him something to do while the fitter's using his superior strength and experience. Enables him to study the component parts. You'd scarcely believe the amount of dirt that boy can find. No machine could do it. Mind you, he might have to wait patiently a bit while the fitter gets the parts off. Parts don't always fly off, you know. But the boy, meanwhile, is constantly taking something in. He doesn't have to wait long while the man extracts the torque tube sleeve. And while he's waiting, he can carry out his own little experiments. Of course, torque tube sleeves are difficult. We usually find it advisable to renew that part. But it's at reassembling that the nimble fingers of a youngster are most useful. While the man does the heavy work, the boy does the simpler jobs. That's how the man learned. The boy has a chance to watch and learn one particular way of doing a job while practicing another. Practice makes perfect, I always say. And there's nothing like giving young people a thorough training. Meanwhile, he sees how a fragile part is nursed gently into place. He'll use the same methods himself someday, acquire the same delicate touch and cunning practice. And if things do go a bit wrong, well, almost like father and son, as you might say. And at the earliest opportunity, the man will teach him something else.
Well, I believe in training the youngsters all right and allowing them to help in reassembling, but one of the first things they learn in my shop is to save time and temper by using the right tools for the job. I do my part in providing the tools and seeing that they're kept at hand and properly racked, and I reap the benefit.
I don't know why Trial's invoice is higher, but there's only one thing for it.